Hi, welcome back to Easy WordPress Websites. My name is Angie Meeker, and in this video I'm going to give you an overview of the dashboard of your newly installed WordPress website. In the previous videos, we showed how to install WordPress, create users, and adjust the general settings. Let's go ahead and jump in. You can see here we've logged into our WordPress website, and if at any time you'd like to preview your website or actually look at your website, you can click on the link of the title of your website at the top left side of your dashboard. You can either click on it and it will take you there, or you can right click and open in a new tab and see it in a new tab. This is helpful if you want to, I have two open now. This is helpful if you want to be making changes in your dashboard and previewing them in another window. You can just click reload or refresh to see those changes. So here we are back at our dashboard. Remember, when you first log into your website, you'll be looking at the first page of your dashboard, which gives you an overview of what's happening right now on your site. What I'm going to show you is what all of these in the sidebar are for and how to navigate your way around those. So let's just start at the very top. You'll see the tab called Dashboard and Home, which you already know about. Under that, you'll see Updates. Several times a year, WordPress releases an update to WordPress and will remind you when that update is out and available for you to use. Now, before you update your WordPress website, you should back up your website. You can do that using the built-in backup features of your hosting account. You can do that using some free plugins within the plugin repository in WordPress, which I'll show you later. Or you can use premium plugins like Backup Buddy, which is the one that I recommend. So make sure before you upgrade that you back up your website. And then you'll be able to use the automatic upgrade feature within WordPress to update your site. Now, I can't show you that feature right now because the site is brand new and it's the most recent version of WordPress. If there were a new version right here, you would see what's called a nag, or like a reminder in this area right here that would say, please update your site, and would you like to upgrade automatically, within a big blue button that would say upgrade now. It will also let you know if you have plugins that need upgrading or if your theme itself needs upgrading. Now, the plugins that you're using are created by coders or developers that write for WordPress, and occasionally they will release new features for their plugins or even fix little bugs or little issues in the plugins, and they'll release new updates for their plugins. And so when that happens, WordPress will let you know and will let you know to update that plugin. And the same thing for themes. Sometimes themes will release new features and WordPress will let you know if one of your themes that you're using is out of date. Jetpack we'll cover when we talk about plugins, and when we do, we'll make this entire bar right here at the top that talks about Jetpack go away. Post is where we will add and manage existing and new posts. Posts are the time-sensitive and time-archived articles or blogs, if you want to think of it that way, that you can add to your site, as well as the categories of those posts. And categories being just big buckets of how you choose to categorize your post. For example, if you have a flower shop, you might want to categorize your post by types of flowers or by seasons. Those are just some quick examples. I work with some Crime Stopper programs, and they choose to categorize their posts by types of crimes that people might look for when they're coming to the site. Post tags are like keywords for individual posts. So using the Crime Stoppers websites as an example, they use their post tags to tag the neighborhood that a crime occurred in when they're posting an individual article, or the month of a crime. And so tags, just like categories, can be archived. And so when someone comes to your site, and if you choose to display the tags of all of your posts, then people can take a look through your site. They can browse through the tags on your site and look at all of the posts that you have categorized by tags. So again, it's like another way to create a library system almost on your site if you want to think of it like that. Your media tab holds all of the library of images or attachments, documents that you might attach to an individual post or a page. If we click on this, you'll see right now there's nothing there because we haven't attached anything yet, but if you had, you would see a list of all of the photos and documents and that type of thing. You can also add new images directly from here. This dialog box looks exactly the same anytime that you're choosing to upload any type of media, whether it's a Word document, a PDF, a PowerPoint presentation, an image, any type of image. This same dialog box will be what you see, and we'll show you that in just a few minutes. The next tab that you see is called Links. You know, back when WordPress first came out and back when self-publishing on the internet first came out, this Links tab might have been called the blog roll. It was where you created links that you wanted to share with other people, and typically threw them over into your sidebar, maybe links to other bloggers or other companies that you wanted to share about. As an example, that I mentioned that we do some Crime Stopper websites, and the Crime Stopper programs will typically list a category of links for media in their area, like news stations that will oftentimes run crime articles on their news stations. They might create a category of links for law enforcement in their area. They might create a category of links for other Crime Stopper programs in their area or Blockwatch programs. And so, you know, beyond this sort of really generic blog roll, you can really begin to create categories of links that are very helpful for your viewers. And you can view all of your links here just by clicking on all links. And you can see WordPress comes with some default links here. You can delete all of those links just by clicking on this check mark at the top next to name and then coming under bulk actions and clicking delete and apply. That will delete all of those. You can add new links simply by typing in the name that you want to display of the link, the URL, and if you would like, you can type in a description. Not every theme will use the description, and you can choose whether or not to display the description when you're choosing to display links in your sidebar. You personally can choose whether to display the description or not. And then you can choose the category that you'd like for it to go in. If you don't have a category yet for that link, you can add a category, or you can just leave it in this very generic blog roll. Then you would just come up to the right side and click Add Link. You can also keep a link private if maybe this is just your own personal inventory of links that you want to keep track of. And then Link Categories is where you would manage all of your various link categories. Pages is where you'll see the list of all of the pages that you have created on your site, and as well add new pages. You can do simple edits on this page just by hovering over the title of the page that you'd like to edit and click Quick Edit. When you do that, you'll see that you can edit the title of the page, the slug of the page, which I'll show you more about when we get into the adding pages portion of the seminar, the date that it was published, whether it's password protected or private, the parent of the page, which again I'll show you more about later, the order, the default template, whether or not you want it to use comments, and whether it's published or a draft, or if it should be pending review. Again, many of these things you may or may not know what they are yet, and that's okay. What I'm showing you now is just an overview of these pages and what you can do with them, or these the dashboard and what you can do with it. You can quickly delete pages here, and if you click View, then you'll be able to quickly go straight to that page to view it. You can filter pages by the dates that they were published. And then of course you can add new pages simply by clicking Add New. And this is the page where we would add new pages. Coming back to the sidebar, clicking on Comments will bring us to the area where we can moderate comments. This one has already been approved, but if you wanted to unapprove it, you would just click on Unapprove. You can reply to a comment directly from here. You can edit a comment. Let's say this comment had just a few words that you didn't want to publish, or maybe some inaccurate information. You could just edit it. You can mark it as spam and it will be deleted from your site, or you can trash it. The Appearance tab is what will allow you to change the look of your site. Now, WordPress comes with two default themes, as I mentioned before, 2010, which is the one that we're using now, and 2011, which is the one that is active by default at this point when you install WordPress. However, there are hundreds and thousands of themes that are available to you for free within what's called the WordPress repository. And this is the area where you would install those themes, under Install Themes. We are going to cover more in depth how to install themes, and so I'm not going to actually show you that right now. I just wanted to show you where it is at in this dashboard overview. Widgets is the area where you would choose what you want to display in your widget areas, or what some people might have in the past called the sidebars. Now, they've recently changed calling these sidebars, and I'll show you why. On our basic template, we have a very generic, what most people would consider a sidebar. And you can take these widgets and you can just drag them over into your sidebar. However, there are also 4 more areas on this theme that we're not really using right now, so you can't see them very well. But there are 4 columns down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, where we can also drag widgets down there and display them there. And so it doesn't really make sense to call that a sidebar anymore, because it's not a sidebar. And if we go over to my website, angiemeekerdesigns.com, I'll tell you this area here is a widget area. This is a widget area. And this is a widget area. So it doesn't make sense anymore to call them a sidebar. If you're talking with someone about a theme, or if you're referencing a theme and they talk about sidebar, just understand that widget area and sidebar are now being used interchangeably. And you can just grab these and just drag them over. The only way to really understand with your particular theme where your widget areas are or where your sidebars are is just to read your theme instructions, or to look at the theme demo. So coming down past widgets, we have menus. What we'll be able to do here, and I'll show you this again later after the overview, is to create a menu, choose where we want that menu to display, and then choose what we want to display in the menu. And so right now the default will just display every page that we create. It will just keep displaying the pages one right after the other here. But we don't have to just display pages here. We can display really any links that we want here. Pages, categories, a combination of pages and categories, or even external links. We can choose what we want to display there. And then with this particular theme, the default theme that's with WordPress, we can change the background of our website. And so this gray area here, we can upload an image to use as the background, or we can change the color of the background. We can change the header of the background. You see right now it's this image. We can upload a new image that should be about 940 by 198 pixels, or you can choose one of these stock images, or if you don't want to use a header image at all, you can just remove it. If you want to restore the original header image, you can do that too, just by clicking Restore Original Header Image. And then Editor, if you're familiar with CSS and PHP, then this is the area where you would go to access that information for your particular theme. And you can actually access it for all of the themes that you have installed. I expect that if you're someone who's watching this webinar, that probably you're not too familiar or too comfortable with getting in and editing those things. What I want you to know is that you can learn those things. 5 years ago, I didn't know anything about any of this, and now I'm comfortable getting in and editing CSS issues and editing some of the PHP for my themes and for my various websites. But you just have to read, you just have to learn. Beware though, if you don't know what you're doing, it's very easy to not necessarily break your site, but it's very easy to mess up your site by messing with the things in the editor tab. So just be cautious when you go into that. The plugins tab, we talked about earlier how building a website is like building a house. Well, plugins are like the additions to your house. You don't need a sunroom on your house, but it'd be really nice to have one, wouldn't it? You don't need a pool, but it's nice to have one. It certainly increases the value of your house. Well, plugins, that's what plugins are. They increase the functionality of your site and expand what your site can do. There are plugins in WordPress to do just about anything that you want to do. If you want e-commerce on your site, there's a plugin for that. If you need an event manager, there's a plugin for that. If you need a fancy photo gallery, there's a plugin for that. Whatever you need a plugin for, there's probably a plugin already for it. And if there's not a plugin for it already, you could probably have one built for you. Here are the tabs to manage your plugins. So you can see that you can add new plugins here, or you can see your existing plugins. The plugins that have the white background are the ones that are already active on your site, and the ones that have the gray backgrounds are the ones that are not active but that are installed. And just like themes, you can have plugins installed on your site that are not active. Just keep that in mind, because sometimes people will install a plugin but forget to activate it and then wonder why that plugin is not doing its job on their site. You can also choose directly from the menu here to add a new plugin, and just like the theme editor, you can get into the code of a plugin and make changes to the code of a plugin. Again, I wouldn't suggest it unless you know what you're doing, because you really can create some problems for your site if you make unintended changes there. Users is the tab where we create and manage users. In the first video in this series, we showed you how to do that. Again, if you need to edit an existing user's profile, you just hover over their name and the edit option will pop up, and you can add new users from here as well. You can also change the role of a user from here. Just click on their name, click their name over here, and then change the role. Click change. You can add new users here, and you can see your own profile here as well and make changes to your profile too. This is where you would change the name that displays next to your post. And so if we go back to our site, you see posted on July 28th by Demo. Well, what if I don't want it to say Demo? What if I want it to say Angie or Angie Meeker? You can choose those things, and your options here will be given to you from these bits of information up here, from your username, your first, last name, a combination of your first and last name. And here's where you also have options to fill in your biographical information. This biographical information is what some themes will call the author bio. Not every theme will show the author bio. Like, for example, it might show, let's go back to our theme and click on this post. Some themes right below the post in this area would show a small picture of the author and then the author's bio right next to it. This theme doesn't do that, but if it did, it might pull that information from this area here. And so I suggest filling it out when you first complete your site, just in case a theme that you choose somewhere along the way decides to use it. And then this is also where you change your password. And then the next set is called Tools. The basic tools here, these two tools, you can read what they do. You don't need to make any changes, or I guess I'm saying they're not necessary to get started using your WordPress website, but you're welcome to read them and see what they do. They're just sort of extra handy little tools that some people use and some people don't. Import, if you have an existing blog or website like at WordPress.com or blogspot.com or Blogger, or LiveJournal or Movable Type, or really any other place where you've been blogging or have an RSS feed or something like that. You can import your post into this website just by clicking on the type of site that you had and then following the instructions on that import. You can also export the content that you've created at this site to another site. This is a very, very handy feature, a very simple feature for backing up your website here as well. You can see you can choose to back up all of the content, your post pages, comments, custom fields, terms, navigation menus, and custom posts. That is essentially the core of your website. That's the content of your website. You know, if all else failed on your website but you had that backup, you could restore your site, at least the content of your site, very easily. You would have to you might have to start from scratch with the design, but you'd at least have that, your content would be saved. Or you can choose to export just the post and just the pages. And then again, we covered the settings in the previous video. So that's an overview of the dashboard. Now you know where to find the basic elements of, you know where to find the elements of your WordPress website. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to add content to your website, both posts and pages, and how to change the basic formatting of those posts and pages. Thank you again for joining me at Easy WordPress Websites.